Good afternoon, guys. Today's Wednesday, January 17th. Just got off of work. We're here in the shop. As y'all can tell, I got the John Deere 830 behind us. Not sure if me removing the pump and injectors and stuff, if that's going to be a separate video or if that's going to be a continuation. Either way, you guys have seen me or not. If you haven't, I'm going to put a link up here in the top right corner of us tearing it down if it was a separate video. If not, then what I've just been rambling is no good and I'll edit it out. Anyway, I got our new injection pump back from the builder. Figure out where I set it. So our injection pump on this tractor, it was getting kind of weak and getting a little hard to start, and it had been leaking for a good time now. So I took it to our injection pump builder down in Candor, Robinson Diesel. Took it down. My wife delivered it Monday at like lunchtime. Today, which is Wednesday, at like 10 o'clock this morning, they called me and said my pump was ready. So a very quick service. It was like $420 with me having tax exemption. So, you know, very reasonable. I think a new pump's probably in the upwards of $1,000. So, you know, we got a rebuilt pump. They paint it for us. Everything looks good. They give us new washers. So we're good to go. We're going to get this thing installed. I'm still waiting on some parts. I'm waiting on the T, the return line T's. They have a little bushing in them, a little rubber ring. Waiting on them to get here. And I'm waiting on the one injector line that was broke. I have got my injectors in, so we'll go ahead and get them put in this evening if I have time. But first thing, we're going to get this installed. That way this will be out of the way and be ready to go. So I know the other day, whenever I was pulling this off, I took a lot of time trying to keep it where I could keep it in time and not have issues with that. Later on to find out that it didn't matter. I can't get this one out of time just by taking the injection pump off. So I literally spent like 3 or 4 hours that day, you know, trying to find timing marks and looking up through the manual and stuff. The manual really didn't state exactly that I could take the pump off without, you know, worrying about timing, but it didn't say to time it. So I was like, I did ask in a group on Facebook, and they said, don't worry about it. You know, the injection pump is pinned to the shaft, to the gear, so it can only go on one way. So that didn't matter. So we're good to go. We're going to get this pump installed and make this tractor run like this. I just got the old gasket removed down here on the injection pump. I'm going to clean it up with a little bit of brake cleaner. Eventually, we're probably going to repaint this tractor, and I may go ahead and repaint like the hood and stuff this winter while I've got it here in the shop. But I'm going to go ahead and clean it up just a little bit. Clean it up, make it a little bit nicer looking in here. If I ever do decide to paint it, I won't have to try to get all this out from underneath the injection pump. Because hopefully we're not going to have any more leaks. This will also make it a little bit cleaner on myself. Hopefully, anyway. So this is just like a Loctite. They call it like a gasket dressing. Some places call it an aviation sealant. I'm just going to put a little of this around there. This will just kind of help hold our gasket in place. And I found that it does help seal it up a little bit. I use this stuff on about any kind of paper gasket that I have. Go ahead and put this on there. And that'll be there, and it'll be setting up while I install my the injection pump. I'm going to put just a little bit around the rim of this injection pump. Phil had it all nice and good, clean and good looking, and I'm going to sit here and ruin it with this gasket maker. Like I said, this just kind of helps seal it up a little bit better. It'll help the gasket stick to it. All right, so if y'all can see here, there's this ridge right here. This is what goes into the pin on the gear that goes in here. See if I can show you guys that. This is the part that I couldn't find much information on. If I could have, it would have saved me a lot of time. So if y'all can see in here, So this is the gear that the injection pump goes against, and there's 3 bolts that goes against it. If you can see there at the very top, there's a little pin. It's a roll pin that goes through the gear, and that will engage in the slot in the injection pump, which is right here. It'll engage in this little slot. So that is what keeps you from being able to get it out of time. So all I should have to do is line this slot up with that roll pin, and then just slide this thing up on my 3 stud bolts, and this thing should be perfectly in time, perfectly in place. And then I'll just start my 3 bolts here on the front of the injection pump through the little cover on the front of the timing cover. All right, this thing is straight up. All right, I think that has got us. Get my nuts from over here. All right, so we got the pump slid in here in place. I got some new hardware. I use new hardware, that way maybe they'll screw on there a little easier, because a couple of these are really, really hard to get to. Does not feel like it's gonna screw on there any easier. Say it's three bolts. They're 5/16 threads that hold this pump on here. It's a 1/2 inch wrench. Ratchet wrench will not go on there. Or at least the ratchet wrenches I have will not go on there. My pump builder did say that, this pump had a lot of moisture and rust on the inside, so it was definitely on its way out. I didn't need reassurance that it needed rebuilding, but it felt good that they did tell me that it did need rebuilding. So I had a guest show up, so I didn't get a little bit of this on film, but all we've done is we've got our 3 bolts holding the pump to the housing here, got those tight, and then I got the 3 bolts that hold the gear to the pump from this side of the motor, got them in. I got my cover on up here. I got my throttle linkage on, I got my shutoff linkage on, and I got this one return line here put on. I did get this other injection line started. While we were doing that, however, we noticed that this line here had been rubbing the other injection line that had broke up here, but this one had been rubbing. It's not in 2 yet, but it's very close. So I'm going to try, I've done this before on hydraulic lines, never on an injector line, but I'm going to try to heat it up and braze this with a torch, and just see if that will fix it. If not, I'll just have to order another one. I'd rather go ahead and do it now, though, while we're doing, than wait later and potentially mess us up later on. So I'm going to blow this line out good. Try to get all the junk out of it. I got to get this line very clean, all the way down to bare metal. I'm just taking brake cleaner, and this is just a wire brush here. I'll be very careful not to crimp these lines up. Main thing before brazing something like this is just to get it super clean, because braze will not stick to dirty, especially oil contaminated and paint metal. Alright, so move all my combustibles out of the way. I haven't brazed in a long time, so forgive me if this doesn't turn out well. Get her hot. I need to get it just about red hot. Just not burn it through. Take some of this white flux. I'm gonna smear it around the area here. I'm gonna slowly introduce my filler rod. Alright, I think we did it. Turn my torch back off, let her cool off, and we'll see how she is. I've done this before, like on my John Deere 3020. If I have a hydraulic, hard line hydraulic line bust, or get a little crack in it or something, just because a lot of those lines are getting hard to find, I do this, and then that just saves me from having to you know, go out and spend hundreds of dollars on new lines. May not be the best thing in the world, but most of the time it works. All right. Y'all can tell. Let me get it up here where I can. Y'all can tell that's a. I'm trying to get the focus. Anyway, that was a big divot there. Now she's solid brass. I'm gonna blow through it, just make sure I can get air through it. Air is going through it, so I didn't collapse it or anything. So this line is ready to go back on. See if I can get y'all a little side-by-side comparison, because this is the line that was rubbing into on this one. The lines were rubbing together. So if that shows up on camera right here. See that big divot right there? It's kind of like a U in the line. That's where the lines had been rubbing. That was exactly what we had here, but I just brazed it and made it perfectly round, almost perfectly round again. So this line ought to be good for another 20 years, hopefully. What it was these lines were rubbing together, where they intermatched like that, and they were rubbing and vibrating. Wore it too. That other line, we're getting a new one, but this saved me from having to go out and buy another $40 line and then wait a week or two to get it here. So I'm gonna put a little rubber over them, a little rubber line or something between them, or I'll bend them out of the way a little bit so they won't be hit next time. So we got our line that we just repaired. Our pump builder sent us these new rings for it. These are like a compression, whatever the word for it is. The bolt goes through these, and then it squeezes against the line on both sides, and that just prevents leaks. We put one new ring on the injection bolt, and these, from what I can tell, actually have a little check valve built into the bolt. I thought that was pretty neat. And then the other one just goes on the other side of the line. I'm gonna pull this little plug out that he put in here, and then just start this little bolt. I can't fully tighten these up yet because I'm waiting on, I got to get my injectors installed, and then I can actually hard bolt these up. So that's all I can do for today. I think I'm waiting on my other injection line, and then I'm waiting on my little gaskets that goes in these T's. So I'll catch back up with you guys when those parts come in and we can get back to work on it.